Hi. One of the problems when you buy a used microscope on eBay, an awful lot of them do not come with the power supply for the lamp house, for the halogen lamp. They're typically 50 or 100 watts. And when you do find them, they are quite expensive. In this video, I'm showing how I put together a 12 volt, 100 watt power supply for my microscopes. And I've labeled it 12 volts, 100 watts. And I've built it based on a Variac, which I can control here, which takes 120 input. I have an on-off switch, and I'll go through the stuff in much greater detail here. I have the AC in and strain relief here, as well as a fuse right here. So I fuse the AC input to the Variac. And then I also have an output connector, which was just the connector used on my lights divert. I want to say that I'm not an electronics designer. I've watched several videos on YouTube about how to properly wire up Variacs, and at this point I should put a little inset video, but I'm not going to go find it, of the robot on the old Lost in Space, you know, danger, Will Robinson, danger, because you're dealing with 120 volts, and if you're not careful, it's not going to be a great day. And then there's certain basic design practices which I think I've adhered to just to keep the safety of the unit good, and so I don't get shocked by the case or whatever. I'll talk about that later on. But again, just because I do it here doesn't mean that's the way you should do it. I'll show you the basic components I use, but you should also make sure that you're satisfied the way you do it is a safe way. So here's a sketch of what I have packed in the box. There's really, sort of three main components. There's the wall power, 120 volts. There is an AC Variac, 120 volts and 1.25 amp out, and a AC to AC transformer, which takes 120 volt in and outputs a maximum of 12 volts at 8 amps. The black hot lead off the wall goes through a 1.5 amp fuse and then to a toggle switch, and it goes into the pin 1 of the Variac, and also it goes into one side of the 120 volt input on the transformer. The white neutral wire goes into pin 2 on the Variac, and then pin 3 has the tap which goes along the coil, picks the output voltage, and then that goes into the other input on the transformer. The two outputs of the transformer go to the microscope halogen lamp house. Here's some information on the Variac I'm using. This is a picture here on the left of the Variac that I put inside of the lamp house box, taken from the side where you can see the wiper. There's the wiper here, and it swings around the circumference. It's 120 volts and 150 VA, which makes it 1.25 amps. I just checked the web, and looks like you can still find an identical unit from this place called surplussales.com. And 120 volts, 1.25 amps, 3-inch diameter, which seems about right. You can still get these Variacs. And so here are the markings on the transformer. 115 volt, 60 hertz on the black leads. And then the output is 12 volts at, this says 8 amps on the green leads. This shows everything packed into this box I got at an electronic surplus shop. We have the Variac up there. We have the on-off switch. I've unplugged it, of course. And and then the output transformer is here. The output transformer goes, the 12 volt output goes to this connector up on top. So now I'm going to look at the Variac output on pins 1 and 3. Pin 1 is the hot 120 volt, and pin 3 is the output on the Variac wiper. And these two pins are the input into the transformer. So I turn it on, and then so it looks like we start at about 0.5 volts AC, and then as I rotate the wiper all the way to the end, we got 120 volts output. Turn it off. Now we're going to look at the output of the transformer. We have these two wires here, which are the output of the Variac, which go into the input of the transformer. And then these two green wires are the output of the transformer, and they go to this connector up here. And so I've just put a couple pins in the connector socket. Turn it on, and as low as it can go, it looks like we're getting about 0.06 volts AC. And then as we turn it up to max, looks like we're getting about 13.5 volts. I have two light bulbs here, which we're going to look at the current going through them. So first is for the lights divert, which has a 50 watt bulb in it, and this shows you the spare bulb that I have for it. It says 12 volts at 50 watts. The second is a 100 watt that I have for my Olympus BH2, and we'll look at how much current this setup will supply to each of these bulbs next. So now we're going to look at the current out for the 50 watt lamp. Put the fluke on AC amperage, and we'll turn it on, and we'll see at max we're putting out about 4.5 amps AC, and that is bright. Now we're going to look at the amps out on the 100 watt halogen. And putting out about 8.3 amps.